Mm. Okay, so we're going to start on our backs, and you can just go ahead and either have your legs long or have your knees bent. The knees are bent, the knees might knock in and widen the feet outside of the hips. And then you can either plant one hand on the heart and one hand on the belly, or you can just let both arms hang off the side or wherever feels best to you. And you're going to start by just allowing the body to inform you where you are today. So the first few breath cycles that we're here, I'd like you to notice the bony landmarks. So noticing where the back of the skull is touching the floor. Notice where the back of the shoulder blades, perhaps the elbows, the back of your pelvis, maybe the soles of the feet or the heels. And you're just observing how the body feels as you really let these parts soften and let go. And as you continue to allow the bony landmarks of the body to become heavier and heavier, notice where you have muscular parts of the body that you can soften and release. For today, our theme is very simple. It's this notion of listen and relax. So every time you're in a different shape, I'd like you to observe and notice how the body is talking to you, and then notice where you might begin to soften and relax so that our efforts and our energy can be directed more consciously and deliberately to where we wish to go in life and how we wish to use our energy, use our time, use our mental and physical resources. Okay, let's start to consciously elongate our breath. So the next time you exhale the breath, see if you can elongate the breath to a count of 5 counts. Slow 5 count exhalation. And then you'll follow this by a 5 count inhalation, just allowing the belly to fill, the ribs to fill. And again, the soft 5 count exhalation. And this time you'll take a 5 count inhalation and marry that to a 6 count exhalation. So now we're starting to elongate the breath. And then that 6 count exhalation will be followed by a 6 count inhalation. And another 6 count exhalation. As you're ready, you'll take a 6 count inhalation. And this will be followed by a 7 count exhalation. And then, of course, the 7 count inhalation will follow that. And that will be followed by a 7 count exhalation. And then when you're ready, 7 count inhale. And this will be followed by an 8 count exhalation. And then you'll just continue with this 8 count breath for the next minute and a half or so. Just trying to notice how you can listen to the sound of the breath and notice where you can start to soften and where you can start to relax. Our breath is a very good teacher of what the quality and the state of our mind is. It's also a very good indicator of what the quality and the state of our being and our body is. So as we continue through the rest of our practice, I encourage you to just continue to listen to the internal awareness coming from the body, and then notice how you can start to relax any of the things that you don't need. So at the end of your next exhalation, if your legs are straight, go ahead and bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. From here, cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh, actively flex through that right foot, and then draw the configuration of your legs towards you. Your hands will go through the hole and either grab the back of the left thigh or the front of your left shin. And then again, really flex through that right foot, Press out through your big toe mound even more as you push out through the heel. And then notice if you want to draw the left thigh closer to your chest. Check in with your shoulders, check in with your face, and notice how long that breath is. At the end of your next exhalation, you'll gently release your hands, draw the left foot back to the floor. Pause, hug the right knee in a little closer to you, grab the right foot with the right hand, and open the right knee out for half happy baby. So right arm on the inside edge of that right knee down towards the floor. Left knee can open to the left if that feels good to you, but you're just going to pause and breathe. And again, we're noticing what we notice. We're listening internally to what's happening in our body, and we're noticing where we can relax. Awesome sauce. Next in-breath, draw that left knee back to vertical. As you exhale, draw the right knee into your chest. Gently release the right foot next to its mate and just take a moment to pause and see what you see. And then we'll go ahead and switch sides. So left ankle crosses over the top of your right thigh, actively flex through that foot, engage the abdomen, and then draw the legs towards your face. Hands slip through the hole and maybe grab the back of the right thigh or the front of the right shin. And again, flex through that left foot especially. You're pressing your outer left ankle against the top of the right thigh, pressing out through your left big toe, inner left foot. Yep. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. Notice if you need to tuck your chin to your chest a little bit to lengthen the back of your neck. Awesome sauce. At the end of your next exhale, gently release the clasp, draw the right foot to the floor, draw the left knee into your chest, and then start to open that left foot to half happy baby. So you grab the outside edge of your left foot, allow the left knee to drop to the left, maybe the right knee opens to the right, and you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice here. Awesome sauce. Next in-breath, draw the right knee back to center. Draw the left knee in. Give yourself a happy little hug. And then as you're ready, release both feet back down to the floor. Let's go ahead and cactus our arms out to the side, or you can tee them out to the side, whatever feels best to you. Make sure your feet are hip distance apart. And then push down through your feet, lift your bum up, slide your pelvis to the right, and put your pelvis back down. Great. From here, lift your left leg up towards the sky. Cross your left thigh completely over your right, like you're sitting in a dress, and then pull both knees over to the left. Now, as you're here, you can resist so that right thigh can press up, the left ankle can pull down. You might press into the back of your head, lift your left shoulder up, slide your left shoulder to the left, and then notice if that allows the right shoulder to descend a little bit more towards the floor. And again, you're just paying attention to the breath, noticing what's happening on the top of your right hip. Great. On your next in-breath, gently come back to center with the legs, uncross the legs, re-square the pelvis, and recenter the head if you need to. Great, and we'll try that on the other side. Push through the feet, lift the bum up, slide the pelvis to the left, and put the left butt down. Then lift your right leg up, cross the right thigh completely over, and pull the legs over to the right. And then again, you might stay happy as a clam here. You might press into the back of your skull, lift up on the right shoulder, slide the right shoulder to the right, and then notice if that allows the left shoulder to descend to the floor a little bit more. And you're just pausing and breathing, noticing what you notice, noticing where you can relax. So I've been thinking about this notion of pause and relax, rather listen and relax for today, just because I think that so often we push ourselves to do things that maybe we don't necessarily need to be doing. It could be in our physical practice, it could be in our relationships, it can be in our work. Wherever it happens to show up, it's that notion that if we can just pause and relax, we can actually use our efforts most wisely instead of reacting or responding in a habitual way. On your next in-breath, gently come back to center. Go ahead and uncross the legs, re-square the pelvis, And then draw your knees into your chest. Happy little hug. You might choose to stay here and just rock a little right to left. You might slip your hands through the inside edges of your thighs and grab the outer edges of your feet and explore happy baby here. But you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice. And then very gently, if you're in happy baby, draw the knees back to Apanasana, wind relieving pose. Everyone extend your right arm alongside your ear. Roll over onto the right side and continue to make your way over to hands and knees. Now, once you find yourself on hands and knees, you might pad your knees with a blanket if your knees happen to be sensitive, shins happen to be sensitive. Great. And then once we're here, I encourage you to walk your ankles and shins as close together as they'll go. You might find that this is not going to work for you in a moment, and we'll figure that out. From here, let's start to push your butt back to your heels so your pelvis is really rested on your feet, and then start to walk your hands as far forward as they'll go. Now, some of you might plant a block underneath your forehead. Some of you will just keep pressing your fingertips down and forward as you lower your ears in alignment with your arms. And since a lot of you expressed that you had upper back stuff going on, let's try this for today. Lift the heels of your hands away from the floor. So you got your little spider fingers on. Lift up through your elbows. Lift up through your armpits. Keep all of these lifted and imagine that I'm coming over to each one of you and rolling your inner arms up, your outer arms down. And then breathe wide across your upper back. Yep. Continue to push your fingers down and forward to draw your hips a little further back and just breathe again across the upper back. The more you can externally rotate your upper arms, so like I've got my thumbs in your armpits and I'm pulling your armpits forward and your triceps down, you'll find that widening across your upper back. Yeah, nice job, guys. Okay. Next inhalation, let's go ahead and shift forward and come back to hands and knees. From here, go ahead and tuck both sets of toes under. Notice if you want to fidget with that pinky toe a little bit, and then you'll press your pelvis back to your heels once again. You might choose to stay here and just enjoy toe squat in this variation, or you'll bring your spine all the way up to vertical. Lift your left arm up towards the sky. Grab your left arm and again, externally rotate it. Bend the elbow and then grab the left elbow with the left or with the right hand. Push your left elbow to the left, pull it to the right, and then draw the front ribs in and back. Happy as a clam, stay here, reaching up through that left elbow. Otherwise, reach your right arm up, turn your right thumb down, and clasp the hands, or maybe grab your shirt behind you. And then again, since we're focusing on the upper back here, I want you to squeeze the right shoulder blade onto the back as you lift up through the left elbow and draw both sets of ribs back. Awesome sauce. Take one more breath here, drawing the skull back so the head's in line with the heart. And then very gently, you'll release, lowering the right hand down, reaching the left arm up, and then lowering the left hand down. Cool, we'll try that on the other side. So right arm comes up. If toe squat's becoming too much, you stand tall on your shins, you untuck your toes, and you sit back down. Otherwise, externally rotate that right arm, bend your right elbow, and grab your right elbow with your left hand. Now press the right elbow to the right, pull it to the left, and then see if you can draw your front ribs in and back. Draw your skull straight back, and maybe you'll stay right here. Maybe you'll reach your left arm up, turn the left thumb down, swim the hand behind you, unclasp hands, or maybe hold your shirt. Wherever you are, see if that head can stay centered on your spine, the ribs can draw back, and you squeeze the left shoulder back. Yep, nice work. Take one more breath cycle here. And when you're ready, gently release the clasp, lower the left hand down, reach the right arm up, and lower the right arm down. Hooray, we made it. Come forward, release your toes. Pitter patter, happy temper tantrum if you'd like. Conversely, you'll shift back and take a counter stretch. And for today, I would encourage you to take that counter stretch twice. So you might come forward and then go back once again just to see how the feet are doing. Nice work. And we're taking the opportunity to pause and listen so that we can relax whatever stuff we don't need to be doing. All right. Once we're complete, let's come forward to hands and knees. Make sure your hands are directly underneath your shoulders. Your knees are hip distance apart, tops of the feet on the floor. Inhale, pull the heart and sternum forward through the gates of your arms. Squeeze the shoulder blades on your back a little bit. And then exhale, round through the spine. As you round in, squeeze the abdomen in and up. We'll do that a few more times. So inhale, pull the hands back isometrically, pull the heart forward, lightly squeeze the shoulders onto the back, lightly squeeze the space in your low back, and then exhale, round through the spine, drawing the belly button in and up, front two hip bones together. Yep, 2 more on your own, and you're just working really slowly to notice how you can start to engage the back body here a lot. Where can you engage the back body in cow? And then where can you engage the front body in cat? Yeah, one more time. And especially since there's a lot of neck and shoulder stuff going on, see what happens in cow as you're really there and engaging some of the muscles in the back body. Okay, let's add on. Next time you inhale and come forward to your happy little cow shape, you'll pause. As you exhale, press back to modified child's pose. Bend your elbows, tuck your chin to your chest, draw your chest to your thighs. Great. Inhale, come forward, baby cow shape. End of the in-breath, lift your gaze. As you exhale, tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Great. Inhale, come forward, baby cow shape. And exhale, press back, modified child's pose. Bend the elbows, chest, belly, thighs, all touch at the same time. Great. All right, we'll repeat that. So this time you'll inhale and come forward for about a 5 count inhalation. And then you'll press back to down dog for a 5 count exhalation. And you'll just continue 5 counts in back to tabletop. And 5 counts back to child's pose. And then of course, you've got 3 more sets. So the next one might be a 6 count inhalation. Now as you come forward, I want you to imagine there are little balloons in your armpits. And then those little balloons stay in your armpits as you press back to downward facing dog. Yep. And those little balloons stay in your armpit again as you come down to hands and knees. So they're lifting up, they're helping the shoulders work properly on the back. Yep. And those little balloons stay there even as you press back to child's pose. Great. And then this next one might be a 7 count inhalation, followed by a 7 count exhalation. And again, you're just trying to connect your breath to your movement. When we pause and we listen, and then we listen and we relax, we give ourselves the opportunity to know what's working for us. We give ourselves the opportunity to adjust, to let go of the things that are not working for us, and thus have the capacity to show up in our lives the way we wish to. Okay, this next one will be an 8 count inhalation, 8 count exhalation. And you're just noticing what you notice. Where can you let go of tension? Where can you let go of thoughts, habits, or actions that are no longer serving you? Okay, after this last little visit to child's pose, we'll keep that 8 count inhalation and come back and meet in downward facing dog. And once you find yourself in your downward facing dog, I encourage you to widen your feet a little wider than your hips. I encourage you to bend just one knee very deeply and the other one is straight. And again, you're pausing, you're listening, and you're noticing where you can relax. And then you'll go ahead and switch sides, bending the opposite knee, straightening the opposite leg. Noticing where you can relax any tension, soften any muscular engagement along that elongated leg. Great. And then we'll go ahead and bend both knees and come back to center. I want you to imagine that you're trying to widen your inner legs as far apart as possible. Keep those happy balloons in your armpits so your armpits are lifting up. The triceps are wrapping down. And on your next exhalation, start to crawl your hands back to your super bent and wide legs. Crawl back to your super bent and wide legs. And when you get back there, you might clasp opposite elbow and just notice if you can drop your chin to your chest a little bit more so the back of your neck lengthens. Yep. And you'll pause and you'll breathe and you might move around a little bit right to left. You might stay completely still, but you're just observing how the body is. Knees are pretty bent. And then gently come to a still neutral spot. Release your hands down to the floor. Keep the knees bent. Inhale, bend your knees a little bit more. Lift your spine parallel to the floor. Weird position here. Nice job. Exhale, fold all the way in. Inhale, crawl yourselves forward into a wide-legged plank. So your feet are going to stay this far apart. As you exhale, draw the low belly in. Lengthen your crown forward, your tailbone back. Yep. Next in-breath, shift your weight forward. And then slowly lower down, keeping your head lifted. So heart, belly, thighs all touch at the same rate. Nice job. You might slide your hands back a bit, and then you'll inhale, pull yourself forward to a baby cobra. Yep, and then exhale, lower all the way down. Tuck both sets of toes under. Push down through your hands and your knees and come to hands and knees. Lift your knees up, come to plank. Draw your belly in. Next, exhale, downward facing dog, knees super bent, knees super bent, knees super bent. Take a breath in here, widen your inner thighs apart. And as you exhale, walk the hands back one hand print. And then walk the hands back one more hand print. Keep your spine super long, knees super bent. And then walk your hands back one more hand print. Yep. Take that 2 more times until you're back at a forward fold. So we're trying to keep our spine super long even as we come into this forward fold. Nice job. Last set, walking back until you're in your forward fold. Nice work. All right. From here, slide your hands up your shins. Inhale, halfway lift, pubic bone back, crown forward. Awesome sauce. Exhale, fold all the way in. Inhale, crawl yourselves forward into a plank pose. Wide feet, feet stay pretty wide. As you exhale, push the floor away, draw the belly in. Yep. Inhale, gaze forward. Now, as you exhale, isometrically pull your hands back as you reach your heart forward, lower belly, chest, and thighs at same rate. Oh, yeah, look at that go. Maybe slide your hands back a bit. Inhale, come to cobra or up dog, whatever feels best to you. And then exhale, lower all the way back down. Tuck your toes under, energize your legs. You can press up to hands and knees or come straight up to plank pose. Yep. And then bend your knees, downward facing dog, super bent knees. Widen your inner thighs apart, knees stay bent. Awesome sauce. Take a breath in here. Next, exhale, walk the hands back, one hand print, keeping that spine long. Take a breath in here, knees stay bent. Exhale, walk the hands back, one hand print. One more time, big breath in. And then exhale, walk those hands back, finding that length in the spine. And then you'll take two more until you get all the way back to your feet. Awesome sauce. From here, go ahead and inhale, halfway lift. Yep. Exhale, fold all the way in. Great. All right. Let's go ahead and from here, inhale, halfway lift one more time. This time, I want you to cross your hands, bring your hands to the inner parts of your thighs. It sounds super weird, but your right hand is touching your inner left thigh and left hand is touching your inner right thigh. Now start to push, or rather bend your knees as you push your hands into your thighs. So bend your knees, push your hands into your thighs, and see if you can bend your knees to about a 90-degree angle. So you're in this awkward, really awkward position. Now from here, I want you to push down into big toes, widen out through pinky toes, keep pushing hands into thighs, thighs into hands, and then release your hands to heart center. So you're in this weird squatting, I don't know, type of position. And you'll bring the spine as close to vertical as you can, still squeezing the glutes, still pressing down through the big toe mounds and imagining your hands are pushing into your thighs. Awesome sauce. Go ahead and straighten the legs and stand up tall. Release your arms alongside your hips, and you'll probably want to turn to face the long edge of your mat unless you're okay with stepping on your floor. It's totally up to you. But we'll have our feet wider than our hips, and it really depends upon you. Mine are about 2 feet apart. Yours might start out 2 feet apart. They might go a little bit wider than that. They might come in a little bit more than that. We're going to do a dancerly type of exercise. So you've got two options. Your hands can either be out to the right and left like you're a tightrope walker, or your hands can be on your hip. It's totally up to you. This helps with proprioception and balance more if your arms are out to the side. But you're going to shift all of your weight over to your right leg and point or come to the big toe mound of your left toe. So come to the tip of your left toe. Yep. All the weight's on your right leg, and then you'll lift your left leg up. Draw your left leg in front of you. Oh, buddy, balance, man. Bend your right leg, cross the left leg over, and maybe you hook your left leg behind the back of your right calf for eagle. Yep. And then you might stay here with your arms out or hug yourself with the left arm under, right arm on top. And maybe double wrap the arms if you'd like. But you're pushing down into your right big toe. You're hugging your outer shin bones together, and you're seeing if you can sit tall through your spine. Awesome sauce. Next in-breath, unwind the arms. So they'll either come back to your hips or out to the side. Unwind the left leg. And here's the fun dancer part. Reach your left toes as far out to the left as they started out. Transfer your weight over to the left foot. And then come to your right big toe. Awesome sauce. And you'll lift that right leg up. You'll draw the right leg in front of you. Bend your left leg. Cross the right thigh over. Maybe hands stay out here. Maybe you give yourself a hug. Left arm on top. Maybe you double wrap the arms. Keep pressing into your left big toe. Hugging your outer shin bones in. Where can you relax and let go? Awesome sauce. Gently unwind the arms, either back to hips or out to the side. Unwrap the right leg. Reach the right leg back to the right. Transfer the weight over to the right foot so the foot comes to the floor. Come to your left big toe. Lift your left leg up. Draw your left leg in front of you. This time flex through your left foot. Cross your left ankle over the top of your right thigh, bend the right thigh, and hands might come to heart center as you're in this figure 4 standing position. So bend that right knee quite a bit. You might hinge forward quite a bit at your hips to find an outer stretch on your left hip. Yep. Next in breath, we'll come back up. Arms open out, left leg floats up. Then reach that left leg back to the left. Put the foot down, transfer the weight over to the left. Lift your right leg up. Right leg comes out to the side and comes in front of you. Flex through that right foot. Hands come to heart center as you bend the left knee, cross the right ankle over the top of the left thigh, and hinge at the hips. Notice where you can relax. Next in breath, you'll come back up through center. Arms open out, right leg comes in front. Last set. Right leg out to the right. Shift the weight over to the right foot, come to your left big toe. Now hug your left knee in, and this time both hands swim behind you and you grab your left ankle with one or both hands. And then you'll just notice if you can lengthen the tailbone down, maybe hug the left knee in. Some of you might want to spin the left heel out to the left, meaning, or the left heel into the right, just to notice where you get a nice quad stretch. Awesome sauce. Release the left leg, arms open out. Left leg comes back to the left. Shift the weight to the left foot. Come to your right big toe. Right leg lifts. Right knee bends. Right ankle swims behind you. Hands swim behind you. And you grab that right foot. And then you adjust here, noticing what you need to do to find the balance. Oh man, watching you guys do this is hilarious. Release the right foot, arms open out. Lower the right foot to the floor. Lower both hands. Hooray, you made it through Tandu variations. Cool. Now, before we go get super excited by that, make sure your feet are about 3 to 4 feet apart. Turn your toes out, your heels in, and pop a squat. Toes out, heels in, pop a squat. Now you can rest your hands on the tops of your thighs if you'd like. Sandy, walk your feet a little wider apart for me. Laura, stand up and walk your feet a little wider apart. So we're going for horse stance. And your hands can be on the tops of the thighs, and you can take a twist if that feels good to you. So some of you might have inner thigh tension, and so taking a little twist here allows you to elongate one adductor group at a time. But you'll just pause and you'll breathe and you'll notice how this is going. And Laura, can you widen your feet a little further apart for me? Yep. Okay. Awesome sauce. And then once you've got all your wiggles and giggles out, we're going to go ahead and pause. I want you to check and make sure your knees are going over your big toes. I want you to squeeze the back of your butt cheeks together and draw your hands to heart center. Now, with your hands at heart center, you can draw the thumbs down and the heart lifts, draw the belly in, and then notice where you can relax. I know your legs are talking to you a lot, and you're probably needing to push down into your big toes even more as you hug your outer hips in, but where can you relax? Can your face be soft? Can your breath be easy? This might be requiring a lot of energy, a lot of stamina, but where can you soften? Our ability to respond to things requires us to use our energy wisely. All right, one more breath cycle here. Next exhale, you'll use your energy to push down through your legs and straighten your legs. Awesome sauce. Hands come to hips and turn your feet in. Cool. We might need to take a momentary pause. Grab both of your blocks and put them towards the right, to the back of your mat. I think for most of us, that should be on the right. Great. And then you'll stand in the middle of your mat. So now we're all going to be on the long edge of our mat. And hopefully both of our blocks are to our right. So when we do this next bit, that'll hopefully work out. So your feet are about 3 to 4 feet apart, depending upon how long your legs are. Go ahead and turn both sets of toes to the right. Hands are on your hips for a bit, and then bend your front knee, so your right knee, and you might need to wiggle the right foot a little bit over to the right. You might need to spin your left heel out a little bit. So now we're going for what looks like a warrior one. So with your hands on your hips, you can steer your ship. So I want you to press down on your left pinky toe, and you might even flare that foot a little bit. And then notice with your hands on your hips, can you lengthen the tailbone down and draw your front ribs in and back, finding a nice long spine through the vertebra. And you might stay here, hands on hips. You might reach your arms up and over your head. Awesome sauce. And since we've got 3 to 4 more breath cycles here, you might actually also bend the elbows, cactusing the elbows here and noticing how that can draw the shoulder blades onto the back, the elbows slightly forward, the hands slightly back, and that might give you a little bit of relief in your upper back. Awesome sauce. Okay, wherever you are, let's go ahead and draw our hands to our hips. Inhale and straighten both legs. So straighten that right leg. Now pull your right hip back, your left hip forward, and start to hinge at your hips. Keep a slight bend in the front knee, hinging at your hips. Once you're about halfway down, release your hands to the floor or the blocks underneath your shoulders. Great. Keep drawing that outer right hip back and lifting up through that inner left thigh. Listen closely. Bend your front knee. Shift the weight to the big toe of your back foot. Start to crawl your hands forward and then lift your back foot up and away from the floor until it's parallel to the floor. Now, look back along your body so you can see your back foot. Flex the foot. Make sure the foot and the knee are pointing straight down. Yep. Draw that outer right hip back and lift up through that inner left thigh a little bit more. Option to stay right here and say, yep, this is where I'm going. Otherwise, draw your right hand to your right hip. Inhale, lift your spine parallel to the floor. And then exhale, start to rotate to the right. Keep lifting your inner left thigh, inner left hip. So Erica, other hand down. There you go. Awesome sauce. Very gently lower that right hand back down. Gaze back to your back foot. Bend your front knee. Start to walk your hands back. Reach your big toe back, left big toe back, coming back down to a pyramid pose. Then you'll go ahead and straighten that leg once you found your way into your shape. Oh, nice job, guys. Next in-breath, bend the front knee and come back to warrior one. Straighten that front leg. Turn your right toes to the left so both feet are parallel to the short edges of your mat, and lower the hands down if you have not already. Now you'll just pause and you'll notice and see how that went. Cool. We're going to try the other side. So you can either pick up your blocks and transfer them, or you could just turn yourself around 180 degrees. Great. So hands back to your hips, turn your left, or turn both sets of toes to the left. Bend into your front knee and maybe wiggle walk your left foot a little bit to the left. And then you might notice that you need to spin your right heel out a little bit more so that you can find this warrior one shape for you. And then really bending into that front knee, both hands on your hips, flare your right pinky toe and push it down on the floor. Then draw the front ribs in, the tailbone down, and then notice where you want to take your arms for your warrior one variation. Maybe they're up, maybe you're cactusing the elbows, and if the elbows are bent, it feels like your elbows are swimming forward, your hands are swimming back just a little bit. Erica, draw your elbows forward a little bit more for me. Yep, squeeze the shoulder blades on your back, and then tuck your chin to your chest just a bit. There we go. Awesome sauce. On your next in-breath, we'll go ahead and release our hands back to our hips. As you exhale, straighten that front leg long. Really draw your outer left hip straight back. And then you'll start to hinge at your hips. So finding that halfway lift position. Once your spine is parallel to the floor, hands come down to the blocks underneath your shoulders, or maybe they're on the floor. Great. Keep Noticing if you can draw that left outer hip back even more. Yeah. Bend your front knee. Start to crawl your hands forward. Come to the big toe of your right foot, and then you can push off the left foot to lift your right leg up. Yep. Hands are directly underneath your shoulders. And then everyone look down your body to see your back leg. Flex through the back foot, square the foot and the knee to the floor, and then draw that outer left hip back quite a bit. And the left knee can be as bent as it needs to, so your hips can stay square. Great. You might stay right here. You might draw your left hand to your left hip. Lift your spine parallel to the floor first, and then start to rotate towards the left. Right leg stays super active. Back leg, yep, stays super active. Nice job, guys. When you're ready, you'll gently unwind. Both hands to the floor. Look back at your right leg. Bend your left knee. Reach the right toes back. Walk the hands back, coming back into that pyramid pose. Nice job, guys. Pause and breathe. Now to come into this mindfully on this side, you first bend the front knee. Hinge at the hips and draw yourself up to warrior one. Nice. Great. As you're ready, go ahead and straighten that front leg, lower the arms, and turn both feet so they're parallel to the long edge of your mat. Awesome sauce. Great. Let's go ahead and heel toe our feet. Actually, no, don't do that yet. We'll do this first. Hands on your bum. Really touch your butt. Really touch your butt. So fingertips face down, really touch your butt. I know that's weird, but you're gonna inhale, lift the heart. As you exhale, hands slide down the butt. They slide down the backs of the legs. They slide down towards the outer shin bones and the outer ankles, and you fold in for Prasarita Padottanasana. And then you might release the hands from there onto the floor. You might walk the hands back between your legs behind you, or you might walk the hands forward in front of you. Great. Awesome sauce. Gently walk the hands underneath the shoulders. Bend just your right knee. Keep the whole outer edge of the left foot on the floor. Bend just the right knee. Your weight can shift to the right if you need to. Spine lifts parallel-ish to the floor if that feels good to you. And then go ahead and come back through center and switch sides, bending just the left knee, pressing the right pinky toe down to the floor. Awesome. And you've got 2 more breath cycles or sets here. So if you want to take Skandasana proper, spinning the heel or spinning onto the heel and turning the toes up, you can choose to do that. But you're just listening first, you're relaxing anything that you don't need to be doing, and you're choosing instead to direct the energy in the way that you need to be doing. And then of course it sparks the bigger question, where in your life might this be helpful? Where might you need to take the moment to pause, to relax, to listen? Nice work, guys. Okay. Once you're balanced between the sides, let's go ahead and come back to stillness in center. Okay. Inhale, halfway lift, spine parallel to the floor. As you exhale, bend your knees just a bit. Draw your hands to your hips. And then bring your spine all the way up to vertical. Nice work. Now let's heel toe your feet in about 1 footprint. And then maybe 1 more footprint for some of you. Now, I want you to bend your knees as much as you can, spreading your inner thighs apart, and draw your butt as close to the floor as you can for this weird malasana position. So inner knees, yeah, look at you go. Good job, guys. And then once you've gotten down to this, you'll notice if your heels are still on the floor, hooray, you don't need a blanket. But if you feel like your heels are not on the floor, you might want to grab a blanket. But let's then bend our elbows and draw our palms to touch. And I want you to push your elbows out into your thighs, hug your knees in towards your elbows, lift up through your pelvic floor and broaden across through your collarbones. Now, some of you will stay happily as a clam here. Some of you will reach your arms forward, and you'll notice that especially the neck and shoulders people, you can move around here and really pushing your arms into your knees and your knees into your arms. It gives you some type of access to your upper shoulder blades in a way that doesn't feel or feels a little new. Cool. Awesome sauce. And then from here, bend your knees a little bit more, put your butt back behind you and slide your heels together for Baddha Konasana. Great. And just grab the fronts of your ankles. And you might need to sit on a blanket or you might be completely fine on the floor. But you're just pulling your ankles back. You're pulling your heart and sternum forward and through, and you're noticing what you notice here. Awesome sauce. Grab the outer edges of your legs, close your knees together, and then send your legs long in front of you. So if your hamstrings are tight, please go ahead and sit up on a blanket. And mine is folded, I guess, about 4 times in Tadasana in a blanket. So started off in that standard shape, and then I folded that in half, and then folded that in half again. Okay. We're going to do or continue our trip around the hips as we're here. So let's first start by walking both hands back behind us. Our heels are facing our butt, our fingertips are facing away. And you're just bending the elbows a little bit, drawing the shoulder blades onto the back, pressing the heart and sternum forward. And then once you're here, I want you to press into your index finger and thumb and notice what that does to the top of your upper arm. Your chin is drawing towards your chest as your chest is lifting up. Yep. Awesome sauce. From here, bend your right knee, slide your right heel pretty close to your butt. Now start so the right foot is still on the floor, right knee is pointing up to the sky. Yep, and then draw your belly in on the right and start to rotate to the right, and your left arm can wrap around your right thigh. You'll probably walk your right hand in, flex through your left foot, pushing down through the heel, and then you'll just pause and breathe here, noticing that you can soften around your right shoulder to twist a bit more to the right. You can lift up through the head and lean back through the head just a bit as you twist to the right. So letting the heart lead the way instead of the head leaning into the twist. Awesome sauce. Gently come back through center, unwinding. And then with your right leg, you're going to cross your right knee over your left knee. So the right leg crosses over the left leg. So we're in Ardha Gomukhasana. Awesome sauce. Now, we'll do this one first. So we're just going to go ahead and hinge forward at our hips. Now, because the left leg is straight, you're going to find a whole bunch of stuff probably happening along the back of your left hamstring. Keep your left foot engaged and just pause and breathe and say, hello, hamstring. Great. You can choose to stay there or walk your spine up to vertical. Bend your left leg and swim your left heel outside of your right hip. And then hinge forward once again, noticing now that the sensation is now on the outer right hip versus on the back of the left leg. And so you're just pausing and you're breathing. We're allowing ourselves to listen first so that we know how to respond. We know how to choose amongst all the choices that are available to us at any given point in time. Awesome sauce. All right. If you're folded in, we'll start to walk our spine back to vertical. If that left leg is bent, hands come back behind you. Extend the left leg long first. And then uncross your right leg. Both hands come back behind you again, and we're gonna make sure our fingertips are facing back behind us, heels are facing in towards our butt, bend our elbows, draw the shoulder blades onto our back, push our chest forward towards our toes, make sure feet are flexed, and then notice that you can press into the big toe mound, hug the shoulder blades onto your back, your sternum lifts a lot, and instead of letting your head flop back, your chin is slightly drawing towards your sternum so that you can find a nice broadening across the collarbones. You might feel some crunchiness happening between the shoulder blades. And then very gently, you will slide your left leg in. And then wrap your right arm around you. Start to walk your left hand in. Keep that right foot flexed and rotate towards the left. And again, you're just noticing. We're taking that opportunity to listen. Great. One more breath cycle here, noticing where you can soften, where you can relax, where who you are as you are in this moment is perfectly okay, and there's not something that you need to do to really alter that. Great. Next in-breath, gently unwind. And then you will cross your left knee over the top of your right thigh. We're going to just do this first one that we did. So you're just going to come forward, flexing through your right foot. Chin is drawing slightly in towards your chest, and you'll notice that perhaps most of the sensation might be along the back of your right leg, right hamstring. Maybe not so much is happening in your left hip, or maybe a lot's happening in your left hip. It just depends on what's going on for you. And if this is a great space for you to hang out, by all means, please stay there. Otherwise, you'll start to walk your hands back towards your hips. You'll bend the right knee and swim it to the outside edge of your left hip. It's like a tail. And then you might lift your butt up and slide your butt to the right if you've done that, and then start to walk forward once again. And noticing now if the sensation is now more in the outer left hip, whether you can soften any unnecessary tension. We listen and then we relax. It's one of those things that I think if we could remember this, meaning me, and I'm using we as a plural, but I think if I could remember this in the middle of a conversation, especially the ones that are hard, that you don't necessarily need to do anything. You just need to listen and you need to relax. That will enable you to know how to respond if you need to respond, or if the person just is having their own human experience. You got 2 more breath cycles here. Continue to notice where you have sensation and continue to invite the breath into those parts of the body. Awesome sauce. Start to walk the hands back if you're folded in. If both legs are bent, hands will swim behind you. Right leg will extend long first. Left leg will extend to meet it. Both legs are long and happy as a clam. And then again, heels of hands are facing your tuchus. Your fingers are facing behind you. Bend the elbows. Reach the heart and sternum forward. And then slightly push down into the index finger even more, thumb even more, hug the shoulder blades onto back even more. Great. Awesome sauce. All right. Last little thing before we move on. So go ahead and sit up straight in Dandasana and just notice how your neck and shoulders feel, especially for those of you that were commenting on neck and shoulders. And then bend your left knee in. Swim your left foot outside of your left hip. And then just as we normally do, I want you to shift your weight to the right, remove any flesh from the back of your left calf, bring it out to the left and maybe slightly back behind you. And then you might just start to walk your hands back, lowering onto your forearms. And we're not going to stay here for long. We just want to make sure we're getting a nice little quad stretch across the front, the belly of our left thigh. And so you'll pause and you'll notice how you need to adjust appropriately for your body here. Some of you will lay all the way down. Some of you will stay here in your forearms. Some of you will do something else entirely, but you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing. Great. If you're on your back, You're going to gently start to come up to vertical. To come out of this shape, grab your left ankle first, keep it close to your butt, draw the foot in front of you and put the foot on the floor, and then extend the left leg long. Great. And let's go ahead and try that on the other side. So bend the right knee, grab the right ankle, swim the right ankle outside of the right hip, fish at the back of the flesh on the right calf, pushing it out to the right and down. And then you might start to walk your hands back. And if you have walked your hands back and you're on your back, I want you to lift your pelvis up, slide your tailbone forward, and then put your pelvis back down and see if that localizes sensation more on the front of the right quad. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice. Nice variations, everybody. Okay, very gently. If you're on your back, please come back up. If you're on your forearms, please come back up. Grab your right ankle, keep the knee joint closed, swim the leg in front of you, put the right foot down, and then swim the right foot in front of you. Great. Okay, let's go ahead and lay down on our backs. Make sure both blocks are somewhere easily accessible to you. And the first thing that we'll do once we lay down on our backs is bend our knees and plant our feet on the floor. Walk your feet so they're wider than your hips. And then allow your knees to fall in towards each other. And then allow your legs to open out. And you'll do about 5 to 10 of those. So keeping the sole of the foot on the floor, just gently opening and closing the legs so we can allow the two innominate bones of the pelvis to come back into a nice relationship with one another. There's a lot of asymmetrical poses, so we want to make sure they're okay. And you'll just take about 2 more. Okay, and let's come back to center. Come back to neutral. Wiggle walk your feet in so they're hip distance apart. Okay, so the first option that we've got is some of you will just come directly into supported bridge and you'll just hang out there. You'll slide a block under your sacrum, maybe 2 blocks underneath your sacrum, and you'll be like, yep, this is where I'm at. Some of you will slide a block between your inner upper thighs and take an active bridge. But you're taking the decision that is based on how you're listening to your body. So when you're ready, go to whatever your pose of choice is, whether it's the active bridge or the supported bridge. And you've got about, 5 to 10 breath cycles in this shape. So you're just allowing yourself to pause, you're allowing yourself to breathe, you're allowing yourself to make the little adjustments that each of you knows how to make for your particular body in order to find either a greater sense of engagement or a greater sense of ease. It's very interesting, but as a performer, very often when you're doing the most quick movement, when it seems like the body is acting most frenetic, the mind has to be relaxed. It has to be very soft. You have to know what things you have to let go of in order to move that quickly. And I think the same analogy applies to life. In order for us to do all the crazy things that we do, we have to know what things have to be softened, what things have to be let go of, relinquished, so that our energy can be directed to the things that are of most value and of most importance to us. So you've got 2 more breath cycles here. I encourage you to continue to notice what you can let go of. And at the end of your next exhalation, if you're in that active bridge, go ahead and untuck the shoulders, unclasp the hands, and bring your pelvis back down to the floor. Those that are in that supported bridge, by all means, continue to hang out there. Okay, the next option of choice is either supported legs up the wall. So you might slide a block underneath your pelvis and lift both legs up, Or you might take that modified shoulder stand. Now, if we take that modified shoulder stand, both elbows stay bent and you're holding the whole weight of your butt. Your toes are in alignment with your eyeballs, and you're allowing yourself to pause and listen and choose the option that is best for you. Okay, those that are in the active shape, make sure your shoulder blades are on your back. Make sure your sternum is drawing towards your chin and your head is pushing down, and you're keeping C7 up and away from the floor. Great. Those that are in the active shape begin to go back to either halasana or come back to that bridge pose, whichever one feels best to you. You're listening to your bodies. If you went to plow pose, the toes will reach over the head. Grab the outside edges of your mat and slowly roll yourself all the way down. If you went to the bridge shape, you'll slowly bring your pelvis back down to the floor. Great. And those that are in supported legs up the wall, you'll gently bend your knees. Plant your feet firmly on the floor. Use enough engagement in the backs of the legs to lift the hips, and then remove your block. Great. Once you're down, those that were in that legs up the wall position, just go ahead and walk your feet outside of your knees and let your knees knock in. Adjust the length of your neck by lifting your head up and slightly drawing the chin towards the chest. And then wrap your arms around your body, giving yourself a hug. If you were in that more active shoulder stand, I want you to roll over onto your belly and do Shalabhasana instead, just for a counter pose. And after you've done Shalabhasana for about, 3 to 5 breaths, I encourage you not to have the hands interlaced, but use the back muscles instead. And once you've exercised all these muscles in the back, those that are in Shalabhasana, you'll go ahead and roll back onto your back and meet your friends in Supta, or rather constructive rest. Okay. So once we've all found ourselves in constructive rest pose, the invitation, so those of you who've already been here for a while, switch whichever arm is on top. The invitation is to continue to listen and relax. Meaning, in this moment, I'd like you to start to tap in and observe if there is anything else that your body is genuinely asking for in this moment. And give yourself the opportunity to heed that call, to really meet those needs, to adjust to the request that the body is making. I cannot speak for any of you, but I know that one of the things that really exhausts or depletes me the most is not listening to this inner guide, intuition, whatever you want to call it. It comes from really just knowing that each one of us has our own little individual drummer that beats to its own little individual pace. And that there's absolutely nothing wrong with listening to, honoring, playing that music. So as you're here for the last few moments, I encourage you to explore whatever helps your little drummer beat its little drum at whatever rate it wants to. For some of you, you might just stay in constructive rest. Others of you might feel called to do something else. But when you do feel complete, the pose that we'll meet in is either Supta Baddha Konasana or Shavasana. So if you're already ready to go there, by all means, go there. Do encourage you to wrap and support the body in whatever way is best for you. Great. And now that you're sort of settled in, I want you to take the next few moments. You're good, Sandy. To adjust the body in any subsequent ways that you feel that you need to in order to really fully relax. Okay. Then we're going to try a relaxation technique. So I want you to bring your awareness to the movement of your breath. And we'll just lightly let the breath follow these instructions. So you'll breathe into the collarbones, and then the ribs, the diaphragm, and the abdomen. And then as you exhale, the chest softens and the belly softens at the same time. The ribs evacuate the breath. So you inhale from the collarbones into the ribs, into the diaphragm, into the belly. And then as you exhale, the chest softens, the belly softens at the same time. The ribs narrow and evacuate the breath. And as you continue to breathe in this way, basically from up to down, and then the chest softens and belly softens at the same rate, I want you to pay attention to where you can continue to relax the breath. Meaning, if you notice a little bump or jump, do you notice any rough spots in the breath? Where can you continue to soften? Where can you continue to let go? So, what we're doing on a very subtle level is we're working with the different values of the body. The values are said to be the winds of the body that direct and control the subtle as well as the gross aspects of our being. And so, by breathing into the chest and the heart first, you're inviting in prana, udana, and we're going into samana and apana, and then ultimately vyana. So, as you continue to breathe, and just notice how you can smooth those things out. Really keeping the awareness just on your own breath. And you'll continue like this for about another minute or so, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Gently release the technique and just take 2 to 3 natural breaths on your own. Taking a moment to check in and just notice what you notice. As you feel ready, well, some of you might stay right here. Others of you will start to invite gentle movement into your physical form. And you're really listening to what feels best to you. Those in movement, you'll slowly make your way to your right side. And then you just pause and hang out there for a moment. Gently start to draw yourself to a tall, comfortable seat. And I encourage you to elevate your bum on a block, on a blanket, anything that just allows the spine to sit tall. And then once you're vertical, take the opportunity to plant your hands wherever allows the heart to remain open. Notice what it feels like to let your heart lead the way and your head recede. Soften any tension around your jaw, your throat, and your eyes. And then the first thing that you'll do is just pause. And you'll allow yourself to listen. Some of the first things you might become aware of are the sounds in your immediate environment. You might observe what feels close to you and what feels further away. And as you listen, notice where you can soften and relax in the body. And then gradually invite your awareness closer to you. So now you might start to hear the sound of your own breath. You might begin to hear the sound of your own heartbeat. And again, as you listen, you allow yourself to relax, noticing where you can soften any unnecessary tension. And for the next few moments, I invite you to just continue to listen. Thoughts may come up, it's totally fine. You recognize them, you hear them, but then you relax, you allow them to soften, you allow them to let go. You might experience sensations in the body, and that's okay too. You hear them, you receive them, and then you relax. And as each new thing presents itself, you just notice again where you can soften, where you can relax. You'll take your last 3 breath cycles here, allowing each exhalation to invite in a deeper sense of relaxation, of calm, of steadiness. At the end of your third exhalation, draw your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of the thumbs into your sternum and lift your heart towards your hands. Soften your chin towards your chest. And we just take this shape, this mudra, this offering as an opportunity to remember that no matter what happens in our life, we always have the ability to pause, to reflect, and respond from the being that we wish to be. And sometimes that means that we need to relax and let go of our fears, our habits, our current ways of being that may not be serving us any longer. So as you're here for this last 2 to 3 breath cycles, I invite you to take a moment to say a prayer of gratitude for whatever things you allowed yourself to soften, to let go of, to make space for today, so that you were able to be here with us. The light within me honors and salutes the light within each of you. Namaste.